Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. I am so pumped to have you here today because, well, we're about to dive into something truly wild. We are going to explore the absolute most bizarre, surreal, and completely uncharted realms right here on our very own planet. We'll be digging into the raw data, the crazy geography, and just the sheer wonder of these locations. So, settle in, get focused, and let's unravel some of Earth's absolute greatest mysteries together. So, think there's nothing left to discover on Earth? I mean, it's super easy in our hyper-connected, GPS-driven world to just assume every single inch of the map is perfectly charted and completely understood, right? Well, let me stop you right there. Before you assume we've got this whole planet figured out, you need to know that what you're about to see in this explainer is 100% real. These places completely shatter our everyday understanding of how the world works. They literally prove that Earth is still holding on to some profound, mind-bending secrets. We're talking about entire regions where massive airplanes just notoriously vanish without a single trace. We're looking at extreme environments that literally preserve dead animals, making them look exactly like statues carved out of stone. And we'll be diving into islands so deeply isolated that they are completely totally cut off from the modern world. And look, these aren't scenes from some sci-fi movie. These are actual, physical locations you could point to on a globe, and we're gonna break them all down today. Definitely stick with me to the end too, because our final location is, without a doubt, the most intense, mysterious place on the planet. Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1, the human element, ancient and isolated societies. 900. That is the staggering number of giant stone statues just standing guard out on the incredibly remote Easter Island. Now, over the years, researchers have actually pieced together quite a bit about these guys. We actually have a pretty solid understanding of how they were carved and how the people managed to move them across the landscape. But honestly, even knowing that, the sheer scale of the whole operation and the deep history of the island itself, it still holds these massive mysteries that completely captivate scientists today. Like, why did this society push itself to such absolute monumental extremes to build these? The answers are still buried out there. So shifting from towering statues to massive flat geography, we arrive at the Nazca Lines of Peru. Now, what's really interesting about this is how these absolutely colossal drawings are just spread out directly across the arid desert floor. They're so incredibly huge that you literally can't even tell what they are unless you're high up in the air. Scientists know for a fact they were created by the ancient Nazca civilization, but here's the lingering million-dollar mystery. The exact purpose of these massive desert canvases remains entirely debated. Were they giant astronomical calendars, spiritual pathways, or something else entirely? No one really knows for sure. Now, shifting gears to a modern reality, there is a population today that has intentionally chosen to avoid all contact with the outside world for generations. This brings us to North Sentinel Island, way out in the Indian Ocean. This island is home to one of the world's most isolated tribes. Think about that for a second. In an age where literally everyone is glued to a smartphone, the people here have intentionally chosen to remain completely separate. Because of this, access to North Sentinel Island is strictly restricted by law. And it's not just about keeping the modern world out. It's a vital, absolutely crucial measure to protect both this fiercely isolated tribe and anyone who might try to visit.
All right, Part 2, Surface Anomalies, Nature's Oddities. Let's see how the planet itself gets weird.
First up is a visual that is honestly kind of hard to believe. Over in Poland, there's this place known as the Crooked Forest. It's this bizarre landscape made up of hundreds of pine trees that all grow with highly unusual, completely unexplained curved trunks. They all swoop right at the base. And the truly crazy part? No one actually knows for certain why they look this way. It remains a total mystery whether some early human shaping caused these weird uniform bends, or if some bizarre, highly localized natural condition just forced the trees to curve so dramatically while they grew. It's like a giant puzzle. And this brilliantly illustrates our next incredible surface anomaly, the wild paradox of Lake Natron in Tanzania. On one hand, this lake contains highly alkaline water that is so intensely toxic to most creatures that animals that die there become naturally preserved. They literally end up looking like they've been turned to stone. It's super eerie. Yet, on the other hand, despite this incredibly deadly preservation effect, Lake Natron successfully serves as a vibrant, thriving breeding ground for flamingos. It's this stunning, totally bizarre duality of life and death existing in the exact same mysterious waters. Now, no explainer on Earth's mysteries would be complete without talking about the Bermuda Triangle. You know, the one stretching between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico.
Over the decades, a pretty significant number of ships and airplanes have just vanished in this specific area. However, modern researchers point to very grounded scientific explanations for this. They attribute the disappearances to things like sudden severe storms, simple human navigation errors, and incredibly dangerous ocean conditions. But even with these perfectly logical explanations all mapped out, the sheer volume of incidents guarantees that the mystery of the triangle is going to continue capturing our imaginations for a long, long time.
Moving on to part 3, the deep Earth, below the surface. So the crucial point here is just trying to grasp the true scale of these deep Earth extremes. First off, you've got the Mariana Trench, the absolute deepest known part of Earth's oceans. It goes down deeper than Mount Everest is tall. Think about that. And all the way down there, scientists are finding incredibly unusual deep-sea life. Next, we have the hidden lakes, literally buried deep beneath the thick, crushing ice of Antarctica, where they're discovering completely unique microorganisms. And finally, the Kola borehole. This was an ambitious, human-made project where they drilled over 12 kilometers straight down into the Earth's crust, only to be stopped by completely unexpected extreme heat. 12 kilometers. Just wrap your head around that for a second. That is how far down scientists drilled into the Earth's crust during the Kola Super Deep Borehole project. They literally pushed the very limits of human engineering just to reach that depth. But the temperatures down there became much, much hotter than anyone had modeled or expected, and it basically forced the entire project to a grinding halt. And you want to know what's truly mind-blowing? Even after years and years of intense work to reach that 12-kilometer mark, they had only penetrated a tiny, microscopic fraction of the total distance to the Earth's core. We barely scratched the surface. And comparing these deep extremes reveals something pretty incredible about our planet. The Mariana Trench has this immense depth and literally crushing pressure. Only a very select few human expeditions have ever reached the bottom. Contrast that with Antarctica's hidden lakes, which have been completely, totally sealed off beneath thick ice for thousands of years. Yet both of these incredibly hostile, deeply isolated environments somehow host unique life forms. They're just a profound testament to the absolute resilience of life, and honestly, they continue to completely shock the scientists who study these extreme conditions.
Let's move to part 4, the climax, the ultimate burning enigma.
A 1971 drilling accident changed this landscape forever. We are traveling now to the country of Turkmenistan, where what started out as just a simple scientific endeavor, a totally routine drilling operation, went catastrophically wrong. The ground literally collapsed in on itself, and that single accident birthed what is now widely considered to be one of the most unusual and frankly intimidating landmarks in the entire world.
They call this anomaly the door to hell. And yeah, the name fits. It is a giant gas crater in Turkmenistan. Because of that massive accident back in '71, engineers made a call. They decided to set the escaping gas on fire just to prevent it from spreading to local towns. Actually, they fully expected it to burn out in a few weeks. Instead, it has been burning continuously ever since. For over 50 years, its fierce, glowing flames have lit up the desert night, completely earning that highly appropriate nickname. It's a mesmerizing, honestly terrifying sight that continues to draw explorers who are just fascinated by this violent intersection of human era and Earth's raw elements. So, we have covered an immense amount of ground today, right? From the fiercely protected shores of North Sentinel Island, all the way to the fiery, unrelenting depths of the door to hell. So I want to ask you, which of these mysterious places surprised you the most? Think deeply about the facts we've covered today, the sheer unimaginable scale of the unknown that still exists out there, and what that actually means for the future of our own exploration. Keep questioning, keep learning, and always remember that our world is far, far more complex and fascinating than it appears on the surface. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I absolutely look forward to exploring more incredible topics with you next time.